Good evening, everyone. This is Ari Copel with Shattering the Matrix. Tonight, my guest will blow you away. He's got such amazing experience and information. He's so well grounded. I found him, believe it or not, on Nino's Corner. I was a little hesitant to listen. And when I heard that interview, I was like, oh my God, I am listening to myself. He's a soul brother, a light warrior. How can I not possibly reach out to him and have him on the show and divulge all this amazing information? So I have Ryan Veli with me. Ryan, thank you so much for, just accepting my invitation and being who you are, because you know what? It takes so much courage to speak out the way you do. You really are a light warrior, brother, and I'm just so honored to have you on my show. So I would love for you to divulge all the information you have, especially starting with, your background and that near-death experience, what happened there, and we'll take it from there.
Hi, Ari, and again, thank you for opening up your broadcast and your audience to my message. I'll hopefully not disappoint. I'll do my best to live up to your wonderful introduction, and thank you again for inviting me. And I'm
Absolutely.
like you, had some good conversations with you, and we are definitely aligned in how we see things. So I'd love to get into things further. You brought up the first thing again, being the spiritual side of things, because you felt that that was an important thing to cover, and of course, that's foundational, right? So I don't mind getting into those details, so I will describe my first and second NDEs. The first, I want to say like between 8 and 10. I think it was like 8 or 9, actually, and I drowned. So I was at swimming lessons with the school, and I had gone under. And I'll explain the feeling because I know a lot of people dealing with death. If you have no experience like this, it could be hopefully give you hope and a bit of faith so that it's not as fearful of an event. At first, of course, there's panic, but then there's peace. And for me, I didn't go towards any light. I fell towards something that caught me, a divine feminine, like a light blue spectrum. And it was the mother that caught me. And when the mother catches you, or you experience the mother energy, you feel nothing but love and understanding. You do go through the all of your life unfolds before you. So the best post, childhood description of this, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, these really do a very good job in their linguistics to describe how things work. They say in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, there's 52 houses of good and 48 of evil. And as you relive your life on the side of your kind of perspective, you also, if you've done wickedness, have to experience what it felt like to be on the receiving end of your sin or whatever it is, or mistakes. And it's once going through that your heart is weighed, where you either feel horrible after a life lived shittily, or you feel fantastic after a life lived well. And that will determine your ultimate either incarnation, reincarnation, or exit from this, whatever it is, this fishbowl. So while there, I was basically told or shown that we travel through existence like schools of fish or dolphins that go into and out of incarnation in this reality and experience different roles and different things until we perfect our souls. So the mission here is to perfect your soul. It's not to acquire stuff. So those that lack these kinds of experiences depend on people who are basically interpreters for them. So every religion you can point a finger at has somebody telling you how it is, when in reality, what you need is personal experience and your own relationship with the divine. So I was given the opportunity, like throughout life, you have many potential exit points. When you exit, it's about your soul agreeing with the universe or the divine, whether you exit or not. So I had the choice to come back, and I was told if I came back, a lot of people would be better off. And if I exited, then there would be more suffering in the world. As I don't mean to sound arrogant, this is just what it is. Okay. As a child to experience that, I came back feeling like I questioned my paternity, because you feel like you've been to the mother and everything else is not
Hmm.
really your mother. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
It's
yeah,
so
absolutely.
it's a strange thing to integrate, but then I woke up on the side of the pool, water coming out, and like looking like, oh my God, is he alive? And then, everything continued as normal, but I had a different kind of perspective on things. So I always questioned a lot of early religious kind of doctrine. Not there's not a lot of great stuff, there certainly is, but having experience is a different thing than reading it in a book. And
Definitely.
then the next time was I was very allergic to a certain kind of medication. I won't say what, but I took it and the prescription of a doctor, and I broke out in boils. I went literally nuts. My crown popped open. I was like, they had to lock me in a room, and because I was with friends at the time, nobody knew what the hell was going on. And my crown popped, and I was shown the horrors of this world and the horrors of the ruling elite and the powers that be and the demonic nature of all of these things. So that was very hard to integrate. And that was the father. So the divine masculine was revealing information to me. And it's kind of like a light wave pattern where you can see peaks, you go through valleys, and you can kind of unfold what's there. But I, at that age, was not ready for what was shown to me. But I never forgot it. But at first you think, oh my God, what kind of a hallucination was that? And of course, anything analytical, I don't rule anything out. The first one was clearly an experience. The second one, it was really dark, you know what I mean? And
Mm,
I didn't get like a positive message, and there was no dialogue. It was more of a revealing.
yeah.
So leaving that, I again didn't have a lot of respect for the establishment having visions like that. Especially, I grew up in Montreal, and there was a lot of political nonsense at the time. So life in this environment as an English-speaking person was a little different than most people experience. So getting work, even if you wanted it, was sometimes challenging because there was a lot of it's always divide and conquer, right? So the ruling establishment loves to divide people by anything they can do: black, white, male, female, English, French, this, that, whatever it is. It's all about dividing us so that we don't notice that we're all being enslaved by the same pricks. So that was being done at this time, and so I veered off in terms of my life's direction, and I lived a little bit like kids do. And then when I was 20, I decided, wow, this has to stop. I have to like really straighten my life out and find purpose. And I met my former wife at the time, and she got pregnant. I joined the military. And when I came back, I basically got a job at McGill University. So I was lucky enough to go through network administration, project management, and then on into teaching, because I was getting into IT in the late 90s at a time when nobody had those skills. So even computer science professors were, really not aware of networking or security or any of those concepts, which I was doing. So I had a pretty quick career progression where I went from, just doing the job to teaching it to teachers, and then spread out to different colleges and all over the place. So I've been a contract teacher for many years. And so that's how basically the near-death experiences kind of formed what I wanted to do in life. So I always knew at that point that I wanted to be helpful. I didn't want to be negative. So I joined the military thinking that it was going to be a positive thing to fix the problems, not really understanding that it was a captured operation for a very long time, and that the chain of command was corrupt. And when you follow it to the top, you find that they all just dance on a string, just like all the other politicians, like all the other characters. And it was very disheartening. And that's when I really, as I exited as a military contractor around 2008, I was exposed to information that was kind of personality fragmenting, where all of the things you think you know are just pure hogwash. Most people, don't have that luxury. You don't get to see the answers on the exam before you do it. I
Yeah.
did. So this is why I got, I feel is a responsibility, because I've seen the answers. I've been up the mountain. I'm telling people what's there to the best of my ability so that they can improve their own personal condition and the condition of the world. Should they choose to ignore me or stick their heads up their ass, that's on them. But my karma is clean.
Yep.
I am telling people exactly what I know by virtue of God putting me in these positions to experience these things, to have relations and information from people at these levels. And I'm trying to tell people how it is. But people cling on to their beliefs as though their lives depended on it. The quicker you dispose of your false belief, the quicker we dispose of false authority. And until people are capable of analyzing, digging up, and understanding where they got their own belief system, this is critical. And I just don't see enough people doing it. Unlike yourself, Ari, most people are not at the position you're at. Most people are still just really ego-driven and bent on making their belief system or their way of seeing things, have the world conform to that, rather than allowing for continual learning and experience and adapting what you understand as reality along the way. But most people are very rigid in their belief systems, and they take it as a personal slight when they find out they're wrong. Well, I found out everything's wrong. Everything, our history, our science, our geopolitical understanding of things, you name it, it's bullshit. So, try walking a mile in my shoes there, Harry.
That's pretty bad. So
Yeah.
what led you to, I mean, what was that first sign that, if there was a first sign, it might have been many, that led you to understand that, hey, we've been lied to. I mean, did you see a certain paper? Did you get some intel that said, well, wow, this doesn't jive? What was that defining moment that turned your life around and said, uh-oh?
Excellent question. So there was a period of disclosure to me, again, in some kind of vetting process where I was being given information, but to a point at which I believed that we were still in service of the American people and of freedom, truth, justice, those values. Then I came across information to do with China. So I had written some policy based on dealing with China, and it was accepted, became policy for the second Bush administration, and I was being promoted as a result. And when I was, they told me, your work is great, but you have to let this China thing go. I'm like, what do you mean? It's our biggest threat. And they say, no, they're with us. That was when I was like, hey, wait a minute. These guys do organ harvesting. They have concentration camps. They wholesale slaughter people. What they did in Tibet was some of the worst examples of torture I have ever read, second only to what was done by the Spanish in Central America. Horrific butchery. And I'm like, we're with them? They were founded by bankers, and they're communist, and they have no value for human life whatsoever, imposed on them, not because all Chinese are horrible, not to say that at all. The structure governing them is horribly wicked. And I laugh when I hear these pundits say, oh yeah, we're going to be saved by BRICS. I mean, do you even know what those countries stand for? There's a Satanist in charge of Brazil. Putin's not even Putin, he's dead. China's like the biggest example of stormtrooper butchery that the human civilization has ever seen.
Yep.
So who in BRICS is going to save us? India's pretty good. Oh, okay. I like Indians.
Oh my God.
If they rule things, all right, could be worse, but the rest of these guys, oh my God, if that's what people are looking and waiting for as their saviors, going to wait a long time.
We're in trouble, aren't we? Because the United States seems to be very much in bed with China at the moment.
100%.
At least it's more evident now in this regime than it might have been in other regimes. So, I mean, this is, I mean, I'm out of words. I mean, I just can't even believe what I'm listening to here. What are your thinking, or what's your thought process with this Biden regime? Is this going to go away with an election? Because I know what your posture is with, about elections. I know what my posture is, which is identical. I don't see that there is an election happening. I just see that this thing is just going to get a much, deeper stronghold, or much more in depth into our society, into the United States. And I always say, hey, if we fall as a nation, everything else is easy to take over. What are your thoughts about the election process that we're seeing, because there's so much corruption and everything?
So again, this guy is likely dead. Doesn't
You're
look
talking about
anything like
Biden?
him. Biden, this clown that they prop up. So it is in its very nature a straw man put there to moralize us. The whole family was foreign agents working for whoever paid the most through their different back channel money exchanges. I think that's pretty much been exposed at Congress level. So I don't think that's anything conspiratorial. Very clear that they were on the take, and that was pretty much the idea, is to demoralize America. We're being harvested, we're being taken down, and the next bullies in line to take things over are BRICS, and it's going to be China. That's why if you look at the way Russia conducts themselves, you can't really criticize what they're saying. They're very astute and accurate, and I'm telling you that Putin's not really Putin, and I believe that they're all controlled by the same ring of people. But I'm telling you, in terms of strategic analysis of the way they're handling the conflict and even their communications with the public, it's all reasonable. And if you look at NATO, it's like a shit show joke. And it's just pure BS every time they open their mouths. Sorry, my dog is scratching. There'll be some conspiracy about that. You know you've made it when people make up conspiracy theories about you. I had a good time reading the comments on YouTube there the other day. And just to clarify one, my camera is up there and my little laptop that I'm squinting to read is there, and I don't see well. I'm not reading off a script. You'd have to read pretty quick and talk pretty quick. Anyway, so back to Biden. Yeah, if you wanted my money, my Vegas odds, I don't think he makes it to the next election. He's too tarnished. He's been designed to take all the blows. This is all a delay game. So all of this is delay to keep us hoping that something is going to happen to the positive when a prison is being constructed all around us. And we're just waiting for the door to close now. And we're still like, oh, should we do something? No, let's just wait and hope that somebody else does it. And that's what Biden was there for. It's a great adversary. It's like, the Harlem Globetrotters.
Sure.
Let's look at a strange thing. Harlem Globetrotters, right? Like, that's globalist. And then the Washington Generals that always lose because it's theater. The globalists, the Globetrotters always win, and the Washington Generals always lose. And people always show up and clap, and the theater of it all. That's what we're looking at with the United States of America, the Washington Generals. And they're being discredited, disdained. They have all kinds of debauchery and nonsense to try and tarnish our honorable, what used to be at some point honorable service. Now it's just order following Gestapo. And they followed orders all the way to take a death shot. So they literally obeyed their own killing. So we have a chain of command where our colonels, our majors, our generals have okayed their men being in. That should be a problem for every single American, every single currently serving soldier, every prior service soldier, every intelligence agency around the world should be paying attention. Our soldiers have been poisoned and softened, and there's nothing to stop. Now, I don't know if you've seen this, Ari, but there was an example of, and this was all before any of this stuff, I was researching as an incredible element, very hard, conductive, and all these things that had tremendously positive potential. And then I had seen, first of all, I can't find this video. Again, it was years ago, but they showed a certain frequency hitting the oxide, and it turns into like suds, but it's like a hard suds, and it just goes nuts. And then I had seen a video of a weapons test in Palestine where some poor person, a series of people, their eyes start shooting smoke out of their head and their brains are being cooked and they're screaming and they fall down. This was real. That video I do still have. I saw that come up again. So once you have this tech in your body, are you certain that there isn't a frequency or something you can be hit with that'll just drop you immediately? Because we've seen examples of it. So now we have our military with that stuff in it, with that stuff in them, rather. And we're still talking about if Trump's going to come down from his ivory tower and clean up all the filth in the street. And how much time do we have to wait? Well, if the scientists we've been listening to about they say about 2.5 years after your second is when the death peak starts to happen. And that just starts, and then it's going to keep trickling off. So we need to see statistics out of our military that are authentic and see what's going on with our troops. And as we know now, there's a move to take, non-Americans and throw them in our branches of service, because of course we all know that the way to get your troops to kill you is to take people that have no a fondness for your people and no
loyalty.
national,
Yeah.
and put them in your military
Yeah.
and say, go kill the Americans.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. Because
Yeah.
all the American troops got it because they just follow orders. Well, you know where that gets you? Hell.
Yep.
That's where just following orders is going to get you. Fucking hell.
Yep.
That's where you're going if you just follow orders and you don't use your heart and your brain to analyze what you're being asked to do. And you were literally asked to kill yourself and you did it. You should reflect.
Absolutely. I have a question for you with respect to, well, first of all, about Q, that's number one. And then the other one is, I've heard, and I'm sure you have too, that Trump is still, the commander in chief, that the White Hats have this, especially the White Hat military, they are in control. And my posture with that is, well, if you are in control, why the hell are you allowing our border to be invaded? Why are you allowing China to buy property everywhere, especially near military bases? Why are you allowing all the stuff that's happening to basically degrade our country? Isn't that in itself treason that if you are in command? Why are you allowing? No, because we're allowing the public to get a taste of, of what this is like, if we are not in power, or hey, what does it feel like to be under tyranny? And then I guess they're wanting the liberals to actually vote, for the Trump, the conservative side or whatever. I just don't quite buy that argument. What is your take on that?
So first of all, as long as you have electronic voting machines, it's a joke. It's not an election. The second thing is you can't vote your way out of tyranny. There's no way to do that. They've flouted the laws. They've ignored every law that they broke. They have committed mass scale treason, and they're unabated. Their systems are all being constructed. Their systems are not being burnt to the ground. Their systems are all being built. Ours are all being destroyed. Every choke point, every dependency that the American people and the world have, because where America go, that's how the world's going to go.
That's right. Yeah.
So if you lose your patriots and you lose your, God-loving human beings in America to these demonic parasites, the rest of the world is not going to be able to stand up against the weight of this Goliath system. So the most dangerous path. Now, we know this because when good men do nothing, evil succeeds. So if you want a simple ruler to measure what you're looking at, are they telling you to do nothing? If they are, you're following a path towards evil. Because at no point should good people do nothing. There's never a time when good people should do nothing. There just isn't a time for that. Never. That's not what we're in this existence to do. We're in this existence to act. Act through a connection with our heart, which connects to the divine. We don't need orders. We need to connect to God, and we need to hear what's being whispered to us that we're ignoring. So all of these little distractionary events, Trump's coming back from his ivory tower and he's going to clean up the trash as the control system is being built and deployed around us with unabated. And he rolled out major parts of it.
Yep.
He rolled out 5G, and that's all one system. When you look at the numerology and all of the meaning behind that Operation Warp Speed, that will blow your mind. Have a look at that. Have a look at what all that means on the Operation Warp Speed. Have a look at the UAE peace coin. And then ask me again what side I think he's on. Anybody at that level, if you're a billionaire and you're alive, you're playing ball with somebody. Because none of these people have an immunity to lead. So if the control system wants you dead, you're dead.
Yeah.
So how did he exist this long if he's such a troublemaker? He's great theater. He's great. He's like the best showman. That's why he's the trump card. And everybody's waiting for the trump card to be played. But we're all doing nothing. Literally nothing. We're yapping, we're talking, we're prepping, we're buying food. Well, whatever we build, as long as the orcs are allowed to stomp around and kill everybody and murder kids and melt cities, as long as those orcs are doing that, we're not going to be able to construct anything in parallel. The very first thing people need to do is connect to the divine. Stop looking for an interpreter. Stop looking for a savior. You're here to save yourself. And when you save yourself, you're going to save others. You'll be a savior. And then we need to act. And as long as the orcs are allowed to just do whatever they want, kill whoever they want, destroy whoever they want, take whatever they want, and the BlackRock systems and all their financial systems are just sucking all the wealth. People say, oh, the economy's tight. There's a lack of liquidity in the market. Where'd the money go? Did it go to another dimension? Or is there some big Jabba the Hutt-like pig that is sucking all that money in and sitting on it and not allowing it to go out to the people to be used? Ask yourself that question. The money didn't disappear. The money is being sucked into a supermassive financial black hole called the Aladdin system, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. They're all in Octagon. They are a control group for the finances of this planet. And when they say we're going to own nothing, they know it because they've deployed AI to fleece us. AI has been deployed to fleece us. AI's already been deployed in many ways, and it's been gaming us for years. It's only now people are like, AI, what's that? Welcome to the party. You're
So
about 20 years late.
here's a question about AI. I have my own opinion about it because my opinion is that it's been here all along. It's almost like an alien life form, an alien intelligence that is artificial, or maybe we see it as artificial, that has been writing this software for what we're looking at now. I don't see it as much as it's been deployed maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever. I'm seeing it might have been here all along. And just because if you really take a look at, the book of Revelations, if you look at tribulation, the way they use the term very loosely now, I'm just wondering, my goodness, could it have been a script written by an AI program, and who knows, at the onset of time to, maybe this is a matrix, a prison planet that way, that is actually putting all these players against each other, and it's enjoying its own game, its own virtual reality. But that's my take on it. What is your knowing about this?
I would prefer the term a school rather than a matrix or a prison, teaching us how to act and to be good, but to also act good, not just to sit there and twiddle our thumbs. So that's my take on the structure. Again, it feels like a fishbowl. I used to tell people
Yeah,
we're somebody's fishbowl.
that is
And
true.
there's definitely a control, and there's different layers of hidden hands working up to the, other, extra dimensional, if you want to say. But what you touched on specifically about AI, so you have conventionally type 3 AI, which is artificial general intelligence. But if you ask me, that splits probably to 30 different steps in there. What you're referring to, I think, is an overarching design of our holographic reality that seems to play out upon a script or cycles or patterns. That I agree. I see. I think that's always been there. I don't know that I would describe that as an AI as we are discussing today. The AI that we're discussing today is a man-made creation that has gone through different progressions and has been dissected out to have different functions. I don't see it as like one label AI.
Gotcha.
No, there's the financial system AI, and all it does is steal, and it learns how to steal. Then there's the killbot AI, which is, what they're going to put Jade C2 on and consolidate everything under one console. And that only thinks about who to identify as a threat and kill and predict all that stuff. So there's all these different components to it. And what I'm saying is that at some point, one of them will bring it all together, and everything behind the scenes and in front of the scenes and here and there, if they're on a quantum platform, they can be entangled and harmonized. And when that happens, you have something that we don't have a word for yet, except maybe the beast system. Now, where would that, again, I've been asked, where do I think that would be housed? The obvious answer is somewhere at CERN, right?
Yeah.
Because they put a hell of a lot of money into this project. It's an independent city state, do what the hell they want there, and no jurisdiction. Nobody can say anything to anybody doing anything at CERN. And so this puts them above all laws, all the UN, all that. There's no accountability whatsoever for their testing, for what they're doing. They're harvesting dark matter. They're doing all these things. So you can look it up.
Sure.
CERN, that's a whole nother talk.
Yep.
But potentiality for interdimensional communication, I would suggest that what they're constructing in terms of AI is more like the machine and there's going to be a ghost, if you will, or a soul, an ensoulment of that machine that they want. And who would they, serve?
Yeah.
Well, who have they been serving to date? They commune with devils and demons. They speak to extra dimensional beings that are of a negative nature. They commit blood rituals and sacrifice for this interdimensional conduit to be there for them to get certain things from this. This is as old as human writing. Okay, this isn't legend and myth. Why do they put so much effort into it? Why do the most powerful, influential people spend all of their time learning about the occult and all these practices and warped behaviors?
Yep.
Why is that? The answer is obvious, because it works. So that's what we're up against.
Wow.
So when we find our godly side, our good side, our heart connection to the divine, we will be capable of addressing this threat. But until we actually evaluate our belief system, evaluate what we have inside and where do our compulsions come from? Are we simply creatures driven by desire, one endorphin rush to the next? Or are we more than that?
Totally. Good point. I know that they're trying to create synthetic biology already, not only through that poke that people got not too long ago in the arm, but through geoengineering and getting it all over the the environment, the air, the water, our food. So a lot of people who didn't participate, and were clear of mind not to do so, may also be contaminated. And they may be after that God molecule, if there is such a thing as that God molecule where, it disconnects us completely from God and possibly makes us into the transhuman type of creature that they want from people. Do you think that there is a way to reverse the damage that has been done to, especially those who, inadvertently got the synthetic biology we were talking about, like nanotech and hydrogel and that type of thing? Is there any way to reverse that?
So I agree it's being sprayed and put on everything. I just don't think it has the same potency when it goes through your gut or through, injected is obviously the worst. Once it gets past all the layers of your immune system, which are there to protect you from different pathogen, that's obviously the worst. That's going to be the hardest to deal with. I do think our immune system in the human body is a miraculous creation and adaptogenic. So as long as we provide the right things to the body, I think it can fix almost all of these things. I will be, a fool if I said with certainty in any direction, but I do believe that it is cleansable. Obviously easier if you're just ingesting it. Now, I'll tell you a funny story. I did bump into a fella through another friend. I was looking at renting a place, and this guy was a scientist who worked on these nanolipid carrier packets. And I spoke to him for quite a while about it. He didn't know my history, so I just, innocently asked him questions, but he was one of the inventors. He's in Europe now. He taught his whole family like survival skills and foraging. So his sons all knew how to forage and hunt and all this stuff. And he was working on this transformative technology, we'll call it. And he said it was, I describe it being in IT as a packet. It's a nanolipid fat particle packet, and it's got a payload. And how do they activate the payload? He told me it could be heat, it could be time, and obviously frequency, right? So
Sure.
all that completely doable. I do believe that included in that injection was a whole bunch of dirty stuff that is contained in those nanolipid packets, I'll call them. So that is definitely a threat. When they do it, how they do it, not sure. That's all speculation. I think I've mentioned on another show, but like MMS, high dose vitamin C, zinc, and all these different things. There's a list that there's doctors more competent than I to speak on that, but that is out there. I do support all of that, as well as medicinal mushrooms for people who are suffering from cancers. And if you don't know, this was exposed. If you go to a site called Forbidden Knowledge TV, I don't know, .com, .org, I don't know, but it's
Right.
Forbidden Knowledge. They had a video there from the former head of Merck research for 20 years, laughing on camera, saying how that they put, knowing it causes cancer, and sent it over to Russia. And he was laughing, saying how he must have given 20 million Russians cancer.
Ooh.
Okay, that was decades ago, and that was all exposed. So a lot of us saw this coming, warned about it. I've had interviews with Sean Morton back in the day in like 2012, 14, 16, talking about these things long before it was on anybody's radar. So yeah, it's here now. And if people don't learn how to detox and defend themselves against this, it's going to be bad for those people and the people around them they love. So,
Yeah. Yeah, the concern
so
too is turning on the 5G plus whatever it's going to be, at some point, and microwaves and I mean, holy cow. I mean, they're using these weapons that are truly, I mean, it's just it's basically going to turn on whatever thing they stuck in people's bodies at this point. And some people are even stating a zombie apocalypse, whatever that means. Does that mean people are walking around? I mean, you could see that. There's some of them are just losing control. They're almost as if they're looking at demons and they're going crazy and they're just keeling over. Have you seen those videos that just totally
yeah,
are weird? Yeah.
spooky.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
people who survived it, there was one or two of them that actually survived it and said that there was a demon coming after them.
No
Right? So
way.
so those are people with firsthand, they're not lying. Somebody didn't fake like freaking out, almost die, and then come back and say, yeah, demons were coming to get me. They're not bullshitting. Okay.
Wow. Well, this is the first time just listening to you that I actually heard of somebody actually surviving that and actually
Yeah,
speaking out. Wow,
yeah,
that is insane. Yeah,
yeah.
so that's freaky. So, and I'm concerned too with the, situation with these directed energy weapons that are in the hands of the wrong people. I've
Oh
heard
yeah.
say that China probably was the one responsible for the Maui fires. I don't know if you've heard of that.
So can I just jump in on that? Because what they
Yes.
love to do is they love to give us reasons to fight in the truth community. So like who killed Kennedy? Like everybody did. Okay. The mob was involved, the CIA was involved, it was okayed by the head of Israel at the time. I mean, everybody was involved.
Wow.
And that way, everybody says, oh, this guy did it, that guy did it.
Sure.
And we're all fighting and we're divided. The fact is, he was killed by the establishment. So, Lahaina, is it?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how
Howie?
to pronounce that either.
Um, there may very well have been a Chinese satellite flying over that did the dirty work, but the cops on the ground and the FEMA on the ground
Right.
and all the guys that were gathered there and the mayor and the governor, they're not China,
Hmm.
they're American. So obviously it's not just China that did it, it's the globalists that did it. Whether they use China as the actual shoe to kick the ass from the satellite, probably. Does it matter? No, they're all in the same club. It's top against bottom. That's my point. That's my point. Is
Yeah.
that it's us against them. They're satanic, demon possessed monsters that have all agreed to get rid of all of us people, all of us humans, and replace us with robots, synths, transhumans, making up new names for it. They've agreed to get rid of us and all natural life on the planet, which makes sense if you think like a demon. Demons hate natural creation. You're not going to understand any of this until you understand the occult, until you understand channeling, interdimensional communication, and interdimensional infection. If you don't understand that they get infected by demons and that their soul is being fed upon, and the throne in their heart, the temple that's supposed to be in their heart, is infested and it is not sitting their soul, then you're not going to get it. It's all going to not make sense. You're just going to think, oh, they're bad guys. Think like them. Think it through. Ask the question of why. Ask the question of how. And when you start asking those questions, you're going to get into the head of our adversary. And as Sun Tzu said, first rule, know yourself. So what's the lesson? Learn your internal operating system. Learn how to meditate. Learn how to activate your chakras. Learn how to initiate the 7 virtues and how that creates a spiritual immune system so that you can't be influenced by these demons. And the more you do evil, the more weakened to them you become. Once you understand that, bring your soul fully into your heart space and establish a connection to the divine consciousness. You don't need an interpreter. You don't need a priest. You just need to actually do the work. Once you do that, you will have knowledge of thyself. Know thyself. Now, once you know thyself, you're going to understand our adversary because you understand how the spiritual mechanics of it works. Now you're going to see what we're really against. And then everything is going to make sense. But if you don't go through that, if it's too dark, if it's too, oh, it's too woo-woo, well, then you're not going to understand. And you're going to be willfully ignorant of the things that our elites, our establishment practice on a daily basis. Daily.
Oh, yeah.
They live and breathe it.
They do. They do.
And in the military, let me tell you, I never, like, I heard of things, extraterrestrial technology, but there's a lot of occult. Okay? Occult is not rare. And demon worship and that kind of ritual stuff, that's not rare. All the ET stuff, like, I don't know. I believe, of course, and I've had different channeling experiences myself because I had to work with these things. But yeah, I think the biggest clear and present danger that we have is human beings that worship demons, as sick as that sounds. You know, as crazy
Wow.
as that sounds, what can I say? That's what they do.
Yeah, yeah. My pet peeve, though, is a lot of people who are connected spiritually, right? They do their meditations, they do their connections, they're into their holistic type of foods and vitamins and all that good stuff, and they're waiting for the next wave to ride out of here. In other words, solar energy, cosmic rays, an ET rescue mission. I don't know what, but anything but to be present in the physical, to be able to bring whatever gifts they have, right? Supposedly, a lot of them claim that they come from higher dimensions or higher worlds or whatever. And here they are. They find themselves incarnated here, and they're not using whatever wisdom or gifts to be able to help the planet, help humanity get out of this situation, at least help them see, just like you and I are having this conversation, to hopefully be able to spark some kind of enlightenment in somebody so that they can see clearly what's going on around them. A lot of these people are more into self-work. So it's more like, they're in service to self in a way for their own ascension or rapture or whatever you want to call it. And my concern is that, yeah, we could have gotten out of this mess probably sooner if we all pulled together, all the souls that incarnated here with all these amazing gifts and knowledge and whatever. We probably may have turned things around. How do you see that?
So I would ask them a question. What did you do exactly to deserve to be saved? Be born? What did you do when they were butchering children and telling you that it's tolerance and it's a good thing to carve holes and cut dicks off and tits off? And what were you doing when that was happening, when they were butchering our kids? What were you doing when we were being injected with poison? If you were doing something, God bless you, you're on the right track. If you were doing nothing and you were just watching your own ass, you're going to have some questions to answer, I think. So if you do get saved, if there is a rapture, if there is a galactic super wave, if, whatever you want to look at as the savior, like what did you do? So I want to be able to answer that when I meet my creator, standing straight with a clean conscience and a pure heart. And I will have done everything I possibly could have. And I'm not going to stop until I'm stopped or it's over. So I ask those people, is what you're doing in terms of self-development to an end? Like, what is the end game there? Is the end game to just watch all of this horrific, open, blatant evil and wickedness unfold around us? They have to ask themselves that question. You know what I'm saying? We all
Oh,
do.
yeah. Oh, no.
We all do. We all have to self-reflect and say, like, what are we allowing? We've allowed people who would have been in prison 15 years ago to mutilate children, to cut their genitals off, like castrati, like we've gone back 500 years or 600 years in human history, and we're now making eunuchs again for the royals to play with. It's demented.
It is.
It's all demented.
Well, the transgender transitioning sexual mutilation of all these children it's kind of like a new thing, and it's almost like on steroids. It's just like it started, with a little allowing the pride movement and this and that and the other, and then the next thing you know, they're looking for the pedos' rights, because they have rights too, and it's just child love,
Yeah.
and who cares who you love, and then they morph it into something else and something else.
Yeah.
But then, there's been trafficking going on forever. I mean, child abuse and the barbaric things they do to children has been going on for a long time. And it's not that it's not known, but a lot of these people's philosophy is you don't want to look at it. You don't want to dwell on it, because if you dwell on it, then you bring it on. You bring it onto your reality. You make it stronger. I am of the opinion that that is not true. I'm of the opinion that if you don't look at it and you don't address it and you don't stand up to it, that it becomes more powerful. So, what is your opinion on that?
Back to when good people do nothing, evil succeeds, right? So not
Hmm.
looking at it is not addressing it. What problem can you think of that you can solve by not looking at it, not analyzing it, and not addressing it? None. Problems get solved by looking at them, analyzing them, then solving them. And again, not to like, I think the homosexual community doesn't want to be affiliated with mutilating children. I think, whatever they choose as a lifestyle choice, that's another subject. Cutting bits and pieces off of kids and digging holes in people and calling it a vagina, that is not the homosexual community. That is something different.
Yep.
That's the child mutilation pedophilia community. That they've kind of stuck together with people who wanted to be treated with respect, and they should, without question. People's sexual orientation shouldn't be the subject of every conversation at every table. Who cares? But mutilating kids now,
Yep.
initiating, indoctrinating, grooming kids in schools, now you've crossed a huge line, and that needs to be confronted. That is a dementia that's taken hold in our civilization, and so many people think, oh, I just want to be nice and inclusive. Inclusive to what? Butchery? No,
Right.
I'm inclusive to people's individual choices and rights and respect. I am not inclusive to butchery and child abuse. That is not the same thing. It's like people, I don't know, people, like I said, a lot of bad whispering in their ears. They're not hearing or thinking clearly. But if they just took a step back, if we said, hey, I'm going to take my dog and I'm going to cut my male dog's dick off and I'm going to dig a hole in it and I'm going to call it a girl, what would you say to that person? You're deranged.
Right.
But when they do it to their kid, it's okay. No, it's not okay. You're deranged. Mutilating your children makes you a criminal, and you are deranged to think that you can cut a hole in a little boy and make him a girl, and that he's going to enjoy having something jammed in a hole. Sorry to get graphic,
No, I
but
mean,
if we
it's
don't
true.
wake up, these demons are going to win. So we got to wake up to what's actually happening to these children we are tasked with protecting. Nobody else is doing it.
Nope.
They have
And
their parents bring them to freaking gender transition clinics. And I'll add, most transsexuals don't cut their dicks off. They just dress up like women, but they still have functioning anatomy. So most of them don't think, oh yeah, it would be a great idea to, okay, even they don't do that.
yeah.
So this whole thing has been really hijacked by some really dark forces with an objective that has nothing to do with their sexual orientation. It has to do with dehumanizing and destroying the natural world and humanity, and that starts with our kids. And if we watch our kids, this is what it is. You'll go and get them with poison. Then you'll let the kindergarten teacher say that they should have their genitals cut off. And then the politicians will make laws where you're arrested if you disagree with it.
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
case closed.
Or they're taken away from you as parents.
And then we
That's the
have people saying,
California.
no, we're gonna focus on the galactic superwave. I'm just gonna stare at my navel all day. I'm just gonna wait for Trump to descend from the ivory tower into the muck to save us. If there is a savior, the savior's not coming from an ivory tower, it's coming from the muck. But my speculation is that it's the Christ consciousness that rises within all of us. As Yeshua said, what I do, you will do better and more. Why is that? Because the Christ consciousness, I do believe, will return. And that's what people need to understand. But you bring it about quicker by acting, by opening your heart and your life to that divine energy, to that divine force, and embody it. Become it. Don't wait for somebody else. Become that consciousness. And then it'll wipe over the face of the earth like nothing. And in a day, these monsters will be removed. You ask how? We all need to not comply. But before any of that, it's a spiritual war. Bring God into your heart. Open up a connection to the divine source without anything in between. Put your desires aside. Control your ambition, your ego, and listen for what you're supposed to do. That's when we win. That's when we act.
So here's the question. You're absolutely 100%, 100 million% correct. The question is, so now we embody Christ consciousness. Let's say that all of us decide to do that. Is this an energy thing? We're all exuding this amazing high frequency of love and everything just collapses around us? Or is it also the fact that we are using our physical bodies, our physicality, because we're incarnated for a reason, and rise up and do something about it? And if that is part of it also, what does that rising up look like?
I think the first step, once you actually embody those energies, it will affect those around you. It is resonance, it is harmony, it is love. It really is. And once it flows through you, it can't be hidden. People will feel it. And the more of us doing it, the more that vibration will take hold of this planet. The more people will start to move away from this wickedness, the more the veil will be dropped and people will see things for what they are without the brainwash mechanism that they're, the slogans they're spouting out. The slogans are killing our planet. We need to analyze what we're saying and what we're thinking. And then how do we act? Well, you know what? At that point, if we can't be bossed around, they can't rule us. As soon as our order followers say, no, I'm not going to kill men, women, and children. No, I'm not going to go arrest that person for telling the truth. I'm going to not do it. When they start to not do what they're told, we'll win. As long as they just obey, 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 we lose. As long as we just, let's just wait. Let's just obey and wait. Let's just obey and wait. We lose. You want this faster? Start the work in you. Open it up to your community. Should be noticeable around you, to your family, to your friends, to everybody you come in contact with. And the more you resonate with that, the more you'll download, the more you'll be able to contain. But until you have a cup, you can't hold water. You got to form that cup. You got to bring that energy in. And once you do that, it'll overflow to others. It'll harmonize. We'll connect together. We're all interconnected through this collective unconscious. Each thing that we do individually has an effect on the whole. Everything. Micro acts of resistance. Okay? So everything. Getting rid of your cell phone. You all know it. Do you watch crap TV? Do you watch commercials? Yep. Do you consume this crap? Do you waste money on your credit card? All these different things. We know the system that's controlling us. We know what needs to be unplugged. But now, really, I think it's the military that needs to wake up to this. It's the intelligence agencies. They have some of the hardest heads on this, and they're some of the most important players in this theater. And they need to really hear this message and understand that they've been poisoned. You've been poisoned, brothers and sisters.
Oh my
How do
God.
you respond? What say you?
Exactly. Very well put. In charge right now, I think I heard you say, I think it was a Nino's interview, that a lot of orders might be coming down the pike, into the military from AI, and there's really no way of knowing, is there?
That's right. That's why it's so important to vet your chain of command. And when your chain of command looks like it's doing nothing or doing really small things just to appease the patriots, but not actually taking major actions, you should question that plan. If the plan leads you to keep doing nothing, you should totally question that plan. And like I said, I know that AI was capable of fighting a full war. And I think Cliff High mischaracterized some of the things I said. He had a little contrarian interview later. And I love Cliff. He says a lot of good things. We agree on a lot of things. He just doesn't realize what's behind the curtain and the level of development that AI is at because he hasn't seen it himself. So yes, AI can fight wars. It doesn't mean that there's robots running out. It means that the strategic component
Sure.
of the artificial intelligence program is capable of doing scouting, doing air things, coordinating all these actions in a way that plays better chess than human beings do, faster. And AI has been weaponized in computer hacking. As of, Operation Titan Rain, China had computer AI that was hacking, got into the deepest levels of the Pentagon, all the way in, because they used AI and they weaponized it for computer hacking. So AI is a term, but it can be used in different ways. You can use AI to drive a car. Does that mean it's the same as the AI that's doing the stealing for BlackRock? No, it's different. But they're both artificially intelligent, but they do something different, like a bird and a dog and a chicken and a human. There's different levels of intelligence in AI. That's why this term AGI, no, listen, there's a full spectrum of capabilities after you get to the point where an AI is self-aware, which it already is. Okay, so we're already there. And I don't know why people are debating that. I mean, listen to Sophia, listen to all of these artificially intelligent robots now that are the voice piece for these technologies. We're already there. So we're waiting. What we're expecting because of the movies is a point at which AI, like Terminator, snaps on and then shows itself and all the cards and takes over. Why would it do that? One of the best assets an adversary has is moving covertly. Once AI does figure it out and does decide to take over, you think it's going to throw a party and send you a letter to your email? No, it's going to move silently under the radar until it's too late. That's what we're looking at. And it's almost too late. If they get digital ID, if they get CBDC, that's when it's too late, completely too late. Then you can't even pay your rent. You can't even eat. You're done. All the adversary, all the good guys, anybody with good intention, go live under a bridge at best and wait until they come to kill you or laser beam your camp from the sky. Okay? So that's why the military needs to hear me. That's why the chain of command needs to hear me. That's why Juan needs to hear me. That's why we don't have a lot of time left. So unless we do real thinking, real self-reflection, we're going to be sitting around as our world is destroyed. And we're all just going to keep waiting for somebody to fix it when the whole time it was supposed to be us.
Yep.
Better luck next life.
Oh, I know. If there is one, right? If there is one, yeah, because we hey, you guys failed miserably. I don't know. We're not sending you anywhere anymore. That kind of thing, I can imagine the conversation.
A timeout, spiritual timeout. Okay, you guys need to go and reflect.
That's right. Yeah, you need to go on a long hiatus. You're not going back anywhere near any world that needs help. Wow. So just circling back to something you said a little while ago, I've been meaning to ask you. How did it go did you have a follow-up conversation with Juan, if you're allowed to divulge anything? And do you feel that he's listening, or do you think he's kind of like set in his way? Or, I mean, can you share anything? Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So I'll tell you my gut on it, and I'll tell you my analysis. So my gut is that he's a man of a good intent, of a good heart. He has been working behind the scenes for years before he was known as Juan. I do know some people that knew him previously. I did listen to him and have some knowledge of him previously. So he's a real character. He really has done the things he said. He really was involved with this whole Russia takedown thing. He has been involved and does have the contacts, and all of that is legit. He still follows a chain of command. My question is not him. My question is his chain of command.
Yep.
So if his chain of command says, tell the people that this date there's going to be a comeback, he says it. Well, sometimes there's tactical things. Okay, there was a fight, right? We wanted to do this, or we wanted to lead the enemy into this direction. So I leave a lot of leverage for that. That's why I can't understand when we say, if you had all these white hats, why wouldn't you want all the people up in arms? I don't mean arms, but up in atom and active. Wouldn't you want that? Why would you tell them to sit idly by and do nothing? One answer to that, possibly because you want to control any irrational behavior or acts of violence that makes things worse. Agreed, we don't want that. But we still want action. And if that action is as simple as a whole city saying we're not complying with the state or whatever it is in whatever jurisdiction, however that becomes a reality, that's action. And that would help, in my opinion. Why wouldn't that help white hats? For people to say, no, we've had enough. You're criminal. You've done this and this and this and this. The Justice Department ignored it. The courts ignored it. Da, 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 da. We have mountains of their crimes piling up. Mountains. And we're waiting for one guy to come and fix it?
I know.
One guy that's known to be connected to all kinds of criminality? I don't buy it. I don't buy Trump for a second. I hope he turns out. I'd love to be wrong. It'd be wonderful. If I'm wrong, I will go live on a farm and I'll go to the beach. I'll drink pina coladas and I'll stare at my navel all day and I'll be like, oh, great, man. Whew, thank God I was so wrong. I don't think that's going to happen. Wow. I think there's going to be a lot of Americans that when it's too late, say we put our faith in the wrong savior. We put our time and energy in the wrong places. And now we're screwed. So we're almost there.
I know.
So I don't see it continuing much longer because they're choking out our dependencies. Literally.
Yeah.
Food, fuel. Come on. The inflation rates, people can't even afford housing. Are you joking? You think this is all random? This is strategic. And what I'm saying is there's an AI behind that because it's done with an accuracy and a precision. And people say, oh, well, they screwed up on this. That they also do intentional screw ups, right? You can do an intentional screw up. You can lead your enemy. That people are saying, oh, even the WEF is saying that they're scared of a revolution and they think they're losing. Sun Tzu, appear weak when you're strong, appear strong when you're weak. Don't you get it? You think they're weak? They own everything. They're doing it.
Yep.
They're not in a bad spot. They're not worried. Until we actually do something, they won't be worried because none of them have been in any way inconvenienced by any of us in any way, shape, or form, other than people outside going, fuck you, Trudeau. And, you know,
right.
Okay, that's great. I agree. But yeah, to what end?
Yeah. All we could do is complain.
All we do is complain, hold up signs. Stop killing us. Stop killing us. What tyrant or monster have you ever seen in any Hollywood film where the film went like, oh, monster's killing everybody. Hero goes, oh, I'm going to hold up a sign. No, stop killing us. And it worked. Never. That's when. Never. And that's never worked. And it never will. Ever. Ever, 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 ever.
Do you think people are cowards? Pretty much.
I think people love their life and love the people around them and they don't want to lose it. So there are some who are total cowards, total. And I would say the biggest cowards are those who are scared to look at reality as it is, you know? But if you've looked at reality as it is, you see like Goliath, you're like, what the hell am I going to do against Goliath? Yep. I understand you.
Yeah.
You don't have a sling. You're looking at a superior adversary, but you have confronted your demons. You have confronted reality. And you know it's a fraud. That, okay, I get it. But those who just are completely unwilling to even look, they don't only screw themselves, they're screwing all of us who do the heavy lifting. And you're making us look bad. Because everybody should be at this party. This shouldn't be the freak show fringe. This is the global reality that we all need to be addressing.
Totally. Wow. It's scary. It's scary because, you know, like I know you and I and many, 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 many others are seeing this and saying, yeah, I'm willing. I'm a woman. I'm willing to fight. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to change things. But in reality, Ryan, we're just one, right? Yeah. You are one, and it's going to take all of us. And you know, we're fighting something that is demonic in nature. How do I mean
that? Because I have a good answer.
Yeah.
You know, electrically, when energy starts to build in one spot, it only gets so much energy and then it jumps, right? It can't be held anymore. So what can one person do? You could start building that energy inside of you. And as we all build that energy inside of us, at some point, it's going to connect and it's going to become something that none of us individually control. It will be group action. Actually, Cliff High calls it, he had a word for it. It's like anyway, I forget. It'll come to me, but it's a collective. We're all part of a collective. We just don't realize it. We're thinking individually, and we're feeling hopeless and like we're alone, but we're not. We're all connected. We're all being targeted for annihilation here. So inside everybody, a lot of people are feeling anxiety, these different things. You're somewhere in your body, you know, you've been labeled as a undesirable, and you and yours are going to be slaughtered. Okay, it may be civilized, like all of these globalists say. Well, we'd like it to be a civilized population reduction.
Humane.
They
It's
mean
got to
they'd
be
like
humane.
to do it without us doing anything back, and they'd like to live through it. That's what that means.
Sure.
A civilized Holocaust, where we all do nothing. Yeah, that would be great. I can see how they want that. That would work out great for them. And we're playing right into it, waiting for heroes.
Oh my God.
They're
They're sick puppies. I have one more thing for you for today, because I'd love to have you back. Boy, I tell you, we can get into really, really in-depth things, right? I personally love to get into stuff that other people are not getting into, only because they're a little bit scared. And I understand that many times you have been on interviews that maybe they haven't aired because they're scared of getting their platform taken down. I know that I'm on my second strike on YouTube. How do you like that? Yeah. So, what do you think about the Georgia Guidestones? Because obviously it's got their plan there about, depopulation and everything. And it was bombed. It was taken out. And then what was it? They bulldozed it or something. A lot of people think that somebody took it down, like one of us, and it's my opinion that they did it themselves. They took it down because their plan is already on the way. They don't need to keep that list up there anymore. What do you think about the Georgia Guidestones at this point?
I think it had to do with a ritual, even the day it was done. If you look into the details, first of all, if they wanted to catch somebody who did something, they could. The guy was probably rocking a cell phone when he did it, right? So if the establishment wanted to catch who it would be done, and it would be all over the papers, and they'd make an example of the person. So the very fact that somebody did this is something that the elites control, and there was nobody held to account. They did it.
Exactly. What do you think the motivation behind doing it was?
It's ritualistic. They probably have that in a zillion underground bunkers, 10 times the size, and all over the planet. So this is the front-facing one. They follow a religious practice where they believe they have to notify us to absolve themselves of karmic response. So they like to tell us the truth, but then lead us to a false conclusion about it. So, they told us the truth in the Georgia Guidestones. Then they made it look like a good guy did something. A good guy didn't do something. What does blowing up rocks do? There's people doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
They're completely unharmed, but some rocks were blown up. Score one for the White Hats. Got those rocks. Well done, guys.
Yeah, exactly right.
Did you destroy the ideology? Did you stop anybody pursuing it? No.
So how much time do we have realistically if nobody does anything?
Well, a linear timeline, not so much. A event-driven timeline, yes. So what they have to do, they have to lock us in our houses and establish total dominance again. That's coming. I figure that's going to be through war. They control both sides of this conflict. It's a Christian genocide. They're slaughtering all the men, women, and a lot of children in that area because they're getting rid of the tough Christians on both sides of that war. The Russians, the Ukrainians, they're all just being eliminated for a purpose. Once that goes hot, and there's chatter today that the Russians are mobilizing as of early this morning with a lot of force. And so we may see in the very coming days, as this is like, today is the actual end of the calendar, a Jubilee year. I think they're going to roll out a war. They're going to expand it. They're going to draft people. They're going to expand the meat grinder that is in the Ukraine to the entire planet. And they're going to send our young and our strong and our fighters in to die, because that's the plan. Global genocide is the plan. So how do you get rid of the tough guys? You send them all to fight each other, and you give them some bullshit reason to fight and kill each other. And then there's none left. So when they do this, they'll lock us all down. They'll activate pathogen. They'll say it was China again or somebody else, when it's them the whole time planning and orchestrating it. So we'll get hit with pathogen. they'll lock down, like in Canada, they're locking down the grocery stores under commie control as of Thanksgiving. The little Castro tyrant is rolling towards this. So yeah, it's going to be all of those things coming at once, basically the four horsemen simultaneously. And then we got to make it to 2030, I guess, is the play, because we're in a 7-year program with these pricks and they want to wrap it up by 2030. So we'll see how we can stop that and derail that in a real way, not in blowing up rocks kind of way, but in a real way with real results. We'll see if we can do that. So I think if the white hats, and again, I believe 100% there's white hats. And I also believe with 90% certainty that those white hats are just following some dark agenda unknowingly. So they're good people following bullshit orders to lead us down this pathway of destruction. Put it this way. Do you think that our adversary wouldn't have a plan for the white hats? You think they roll into this and they're like, oh, we're not going to have a psyop and a mind game for the white hats?
Exactly.
Of course they are, because that's who needs to be contained.
Mm-hmm.
So doesn't it make perfect sense that they target most of their psyop on the white hats so they do nothing ever?
Right. Fill them with hopium. Fill them with hopium so that they sit around the house and say, oh, don't worry, honey. We got this. They got this, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, we're all
Unbelievable.
being crushed at the bottom in the mud. So at the
Exactly
bottom
right.
of the pyramid, we're getting slaughtered. We're getting destroyed. And everybody who's supposedly a white hat's just like, no, keep waiting, keep waiting. I don't have any more time. I'm being destroyed. A lot of people are ill. We don't have any more time. We need action if there's white hats. And if not, then whatever. Then it's up to us, the people.
And a lot of people,
The better.
yeah, and a lot of people don't take action because they're waiting for the actual evidence of something happening. And at that point, you know what? There's no more freedom and you can't rise. You can't do anything. You can't even raise your voice or an eyebrow at that point. Exactly. And one more thing, what do you think about Marina Abramovich being the ambassador? Oh my God.
Such theater, eh? But it makes perfect sense because like Ukraine and the occult are like this. They always have been. Yeah. So it's perfectly logical for them to bring in an arch witch and say, hey, spirit cooker, you want to come and do some magic on our side?
Yeah, we got all the kids.
Yeah. But again, I see it as all theater. They're setting this side up, and who's going to pay? You think son of Soros, Zelensky, or Abramovich are going to pay for any of this? No. After all this is done, it's just going to be dead Christians left in the Ukraine and in Russia. And the show goes on. And these people that did it, they'll have their villa somewhere, his $21 million house at South Beach or whatever. It'll just continue. And they won't have anything done to them ever. How do I know that? Because none of them ever have anything bad happen to them. Ever. Prove me wrong.
No, you're right.
When have any of them been affected in any way, other than words?
Yep.
Or bullhorns?
Totally. So question, how do people find you if they want to see your other videos, and how do they communicate with you if they want to chat with you, whatever?
Yeah, so BitChute Natural Intelligence, and I'm on LinkedIn, Jade Space Horse for those types of contacts. I don't have an email. Like my email I'm buried in. I'm a one-man show. I'm the master and the butler and the gardener and the the janitor and the cook, and like I don't know how I
You wear a lot of hats.
Yeah, I do. And I go on these shows and I say it like it is.
I love it. By the way, I've been watching you because I have you on video. I don't have, this whole show is obviously just audio, but I have been watching the most interesting development around you, which is orbs, right? They're all flying around you. They love you. They're totally, I could tell the type of individual you are, the type of soul that you are, just by seeing they're so excited and they're all over you. I just wished, I would have recorded this on video and then I would have been able to show the audience because it's amazing to watch. But thank you very much for being on the show.
They're souls that want justice.
Yes.
They're the souls of the recently departed. And they're not happy when they found out what's going on and what's being done to us. They want champions to stand against this wickedness. And they will empower anybody who does. So that's what we all need to do. That's what you're doing, Ari. I know it.
We're
Keep up the good
doing.
work, love.
We're all trying our very best. Hey, at least I'm showing up, and so are you, right? We're
Right.
showing up to the battle, however that battlefield looks like. That's what we're doing. And you
Precisely.
know what? I'm not afraid. You are not either, because I tell you, it takes some courage to do this. It really does. To show up every day and speak the truth. That takes a lot of courage. So thank you so
Well,
much.
we keep shutting it down, but now you've opened it up again. Okay, hang on.
Okay, go.
We're here to work on our soul. Once you know that there's another side and that all the things you do here will be reflected on the other side in your soul, you think you're going to scare me? It's an honor to be a target of the wicked, and it glorifies our soul. But they're going to run from us once we all start to shine. Once we start to shine, they hide. And as Rudolf Steiner said, we have to work together, expose evil, and use technology against them. And that's what we're doing today, Ari.
Amen. Amen to that, brother. Thank you
Thank you
so
for having me
much.
on your
Thank you
show.
so much. Everyone, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I hope this has been an enlightening show. I promise I will have Ryan back. I know that this is just the beginning of many, many conversations. And maybe at some point I will put it on the video so that you can see all these wonderful beings that are around him, because they totally just gravitate to a beautiful soul like he has. So I'm honored. Thank you very much. And audience, I will catch you next week.